What's up guys, how's it going? It's John, Gamester81. This video I want to talk about Atari's recent announcement of coming out with a new console called the Atari Box. This thing, first impression, looks pretty sweet. It's done in kind of a retro style but with a modern flair, which I think is really cool. It comes with two different styles. It comes red and black as well as classic wood grain finish, which is probably the version I'm going to get, and I'm sure many other nostalgic people for classic games will probably end up picking up. There's a lot that we don't know about this console at this point. We don't know a release date, we don't know price point, which are two very important things. We also don't know what the controller will look like. Will it be a joystick or will it be a classic controller style? I just pray that it's not the Atari Jaguar style controller. I'm not a huge fan of the Jaguar controller. And speaking of which, the Atari Jaguar, if you don't include the Atari flashback consoles, this is going to be the first Atari console in over 21 years, because that's when the Jaguar came out. Hard to believe. Some people are speculating that Atari is doing this because of the success Nintendo has had with the classic Mini series. Of course, many of you may know, Nintendo released the NES Mini last year. They're coming out with this new Super Nintendo Mini later this year. Those have been hugely successful. Hard to find, of course, but hugely successful. And I would disagree. I don't think Atari is necessarily doing this because of that. If you were to compare that, I would think the Atari Flashback series is more like in line with the plug-and-play style of the Mini. And the Flashback series AtGames has been producing for years. In fact, I believe they're on to number 8 coming out in September. And the 8 will be HDMI out, which is awesome. So I think that's more in line with that. I think this is going to be its own unique system. Atari has said that this will play classic games as well as modern games. What does that mean exactly? Are we talking about classic games as far as classic arcade games, or are we talking about classic 2600 games? There's a big difference. As well, modern gaming. Is this going to be more like an Ouya, where it's be more Android-based, or more like simple games? Are they going to be like really hardcore games where it's going to compete with the PS4, Xbox One, Steam to a point? I don't, it's interesting. I'm kind of curious. I think price point is going to be a big factor in this thing. Now, just to clarify, the Atari company that is producing this is a completely different company, different group of people than worked on Atari back in the early 90s, 80s, and 70s. Atari has changed names and people have bought the brand and trademark. In fact, I believe last time it happened was as recently as 2013. I don't see a problem with someone using the Atari name as long as it's done with respect. If this is a garbage product, that's where I have issues. So I believe that it's the games that make the system, not the systems that makes the game. So I think really a big point is this going to have original games, original content? If it's just going to play classic Atari games, I can get emulator, I can buy a flashback, I can get a lot of things. I can already play Atari 2600 games. I'm looking for new games. I'm looking for a new Tempest. I'm looking for new Warlords. I'm looking for new Atari brand games that are sequels to games, classic games, right? New Centipede would be phenomenal. I don't know, there's so much you can do with this thing. I just hope Atari does it right. So I'm really curious what you guys think. What we do know also about the system is it will have HDMI out, so we'll play HDMI in high def. It will also have an SD card, it looks like. As far as what that's used for, maybe it's for games, to load games, to save stuff, I don't know. It has Ethernet cable, which is interesting. So I don't know if that's to like LAN things together or to download stuff. I'm assuming this would have Wi-Fi, but we don't know. I'll assume that it doesn't if it has an Ethernet cable. And then also we don't know what the controllers look like. It has 4 USB ports. I'm assuming that's for controllers. We don't know how many controllers come with this system. So there's a lot of question marks at this point. But at this point, I just want to share my thoughts. First impression, I think it looks really cool. I think it has a lot of potential. We'll have to kind of wait and see. If it's overpriced, obviously that's going to affect it. If it's decently priced, I think it could do very well. Personally, Sega, if you're watching this, if you're listening, Dreamcast 2, please, Dreamcast 2. I would love to see Dreamcast 2. I would love to see Sega back in the market. That's for me personally. What companies would you like to see make a new console for? What kind of new consoles would you like to see? And if you were to see a new console, what would you like it to include? I think it's really cool that we're kind of going more retro in these games. Obviously this caters towards those my age demographic, probably those in their late 20s on up. For younger gamers, I'm not quite sure if this will appeal to them or not. Maybe, we'll have to wait and see. Leave a comment below, guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for liking this video. Thanks for sharing this video. That means a lot. We'll see you guys soon. Take care and game on.